day. Sorry. um Sorry. If you're used to drinking coffee every day, maybe you can like integrate another habit into it that you want to incorporate. Like, for example, if reading is something you want to get back into, which I know I do because I kind of lost that after I got into college, maybe every morning when you're making your coffee, adding like an extra 5 minutes and like reading a few pages, or anything you can do that kind of elevates what you currently have so it seems a little bit less daunting. And another tip is dedicating maybe 20 or 15 minutes every day to something you love. I feel like that is easy to integrate. It doesn't have to be like a full hour. Like, for example, it could be reading, it could be watching a YouTube video, or anything along the lines of that. Just dedicating a little bit of time every day. And then lastly, I never know this, but making sure you have regular sleep and limiting your devices before sleeping. I know it's like easy to just go on our phone like right before we sleep, but that makes it more difficult to sleep, which I'm sure we all know. But yeah, that being said, I'm going to go into kind of discussing self-care a little bit and a few just like self-care ideas. Okay, so wait, also, can you guys see this? Like the faces?
No, I don't think we can see the faces in the corner
Okay,
now.
perfect. Sorry, just making sure. Okay, so the first thing involved with self-care that I want to emphasize is making sure you start your day well, because that really does set the tone for the entire day. And it's important to start on a positive note if you can. And again, just some easy ways to do that is like, it could even be as simple as like listening to a happy song when you're like brushing your teeth, or like listening to a podcast while you go through your morning routine. And that also kind of goes along the lines of like elevating things that you already do every day. And I know a lot of people enjoy writing down like maybe one or two things they're grateful for right in the morning, just to kind of start your day with gratitude. And honestly, that really does help. Or just like light stretching, walking, or anything like that. Or even just like setting time to like make your cup of coffee, I think helps a lot, because it's just like you spending time with yourself, and you're not really worrying about other things at the moment. So making sure you start your day well is very important. And then next, I just put meditation. I know for me, like throughout high school, I feel like whenever I thought of meditation, I thought it was something like only experts can do. I didn't really realize how simple it can be. Like, it can genuinely be something as simple as like breathing exercises, or if you go on Google and search like 5-10 minute meditation, it's honestly very easy to integrate into your routine. And that's something I kind of wish I did in high school. So just because like meditation really helps you like recognize the emotions you're experiencing, and it helps you kind of just take some time to yourself with your thoughts and your body, and it's very, very helpful. So if you can incorporate some daily meditation time. And then next I put journaling. I know me and Vi are huge fans of journaling, but it genuinely is so, so important, like to take time to just like think and vent out your feelings, because you can think about your feelings all day, but journaling kind of like allows you to physically put out what you're feeling, and it really does help kind of relieve yourself in terms of like stress and anxiety. And it doesn't have to be like physically writing out in a like your own notebook or something. Like, it can be like on a Google Doc or on the notes app on your phone, because I know typing is obviously quicker and faster, and it still allows you to kind of get some of the same benefits of like physically journaling. And I know a lot of people kind of stray from journaling because they're like, what do I talk about? Like, it's difficult for me to just like write exactly what I'm feeling. So I definitely recommend like having prompts if that helps you. Some easy ones are like, what's bothering you at the moment? What are you grateful for? It can even be fun, like write a letter to like future you in like a month or a year from now. But there's also tons of like journaling prompts that you can find on the internet. And one thing that I have noticed a lot of people enjoying recently is also like videos, like recording yourself literally just ranting and speaking. It's another form of like a release that's similar to journaling. So I also recommend that. And then the other tip is like literally going on dates with yourself and like spending time with yourself. I know that gets so difficult as our schedules get more and more busy, but it's honestly so important and underappreciated, like how impactful it can be to like literally just go do something by yourself. Like, step outside the house, go to a coffee shop, or go to a park, read a book on a bench. Like, just exiting and having like dedicated time to spend by yourself is really, really important. And obviously not a lot of people do that because we think it's going to take a lot of time, but definitely recommend integrating that. It doesn't have to be every day, maybe once a month, once a week, but still important to do that time to time. And then some other simple ones, like I mentioned a bit, I love reading, and it also doesn't have to be books. Like, you can read poems, you can read comic graphic novels, or anything like that. Gardening doesn't have to be like a full garden. Having 1 or 2 house plants, I know helps a lot of people. It's like nice, like you wake up in the morning, go take care of your plants. I know that gives a lot of people serotonin. And I also put creating vision boards because that helps me. Hence the name Fighting for Hope. I think hope is a really important feeling to have, and you can kind of cultivate that through making vision boards because it allows you to kind of visualize the perfect, not perfect, but visualize a future that you want, and it also can kind of help you feel more motivated. So that is a really good thing to do, and you can do that in like any way. It doesn't necessarily have to be like putting it together pictures. It can be like, for example, I put like making a playlist that like has songs that you kind of associate with your future, or it can be like a presentation slide, or just writing out visions that you see for yourself. Yeah, and then just a few other small self-care practices, baking or cooking. I know that can be very difficult to do in college. So it doesn't have to be like cooking like a whole feast or something, but like making a fun little drink like coffee or matcha or whatever you enjoy. And then also just like getting in touch with your artistic side. That could be like pottery, painting, drawing, doodling, anything like that. And then also, sorry, I keep rambling. Please stop me if anyone has any questions or anything like that. Um, and then I also wanted to mention just like spending time in nature or just any time like free from a screen. It doesn't have to be like you go on like a full hike, but just like going on a walk outside or standing in your balcony, just spending time in fresh air is really important. And that's something I want to work on too. And then I also want to put some like miscellaneous strategies. So first I put the 3-3-3 method. It's basically like an anxiety management technique, and there's tons online, but it involves like if you're like feeling a lot of anxiety, like identifying 3 objects around you and 3 thoughts you're having and something like that. But I kind of use that to show you that there's a lot of different breathing and anxiety management exercises that you can find online that are kind of easy to do like on the go if you like feel panic or anxiety something coming. And there's also a lot of mindfulness exercises that you can use to like help with your mental health, anxiety, anything like that. I put like intention setting, so like writing and understanding what your intentions are to help you recognize things that are causing you stress, and also things like body scans, and also guided imagery, which is kind of like visualizing yourself in a place that makes you happy or makes you feel good. I'm not a professional, so I didn't want to go too into depth in these, but I recommend like Googling breathing or mindfulness exercises and finding ones that you can practice that you think might help you. And then I also wanted to go into some digital resources because I know when we think of mental health, we often think of therapy, but that's not something everyone can afford. That's not something everyone can like afford to do regularly as well, not just financially. And there's a lot of mental health, wellness, and self-care things that are on the internet that we luckily are able to access that I think can help a lot. So I kind of broke them into categories. So like podcasts, YouTube, books, online hotlines, and apps. So I put a few examples here, but I love Emma Chamberlain's podcast. That's just an example, but there's so many that it can just be helpful to kind of listen to someone voicing thoughts that you might share, like whether it be like about how they deal with their stress or thoughts that they're having. It can help a lot to know that you can relate to someone. So listening to that a few times a week or every day if you want is really, really helpful. And then I also put YouTube just because there's a lot of mental health related YouTube channels that exist that not a lot of people know about. And again, like I said, therapy is not accessible to everybody. So there's a lot of channels that are literally run by therapists where they have like videos on like specific topics that can be important to listen to if you feel like you can't talk to anyone around you. And then books are another big one, like I mentioned, but books specifically related to mental health related topics. So there's a lot on like anxiety, there's a lot on stress, many books written by therapists where they kind of write down like their findings or something like that can be helpful. And then there's also a lot of online temporary hotlines you can use that I can send a list later, but it might be helpful if like you don't have a therapist, but you want to talk to an actual person that is professional in the mental health field. There's a lot of online resources that you can quickly call and have a quick appointment with. And then kind of along the line, there's also apps that offer things like that. And there's also apps focused on like mindfulness, such as the example I put here, Headspace, that are also easy to access just because we're always on our phones. So making use of like how much time we spend on our phones to kind of help ourselves with our mental health is an easy thing to do. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. And then I also just wanted to end with some like overall reminders. I know it's so easy to kind of like get wrapped up in a lot of negative things and overthink everything. I know I do it too. And I'm sure you all have heard these reminders. It's just important to still be reminded every now and then. So the first thing I said was just focusing on what you can control and not what you can't. You know, it's obviously not a good use of energy focusing on something that you genuinely have no control over. And I know that anxiety for a lot of people also comes from not like understanding what they have control over and what they don't. So making sure you spend time and like thinking about that's very important. And then second, I also wanted to remind people that self-care and mental health looks different for everybody. So understanding that like what works for somebody else is not necessarily what's going to work for you. So understand that your journey is your own. So if something doesn't work out, that's not a sign for you to like stop caring about your mental health or stop putting time and intention into it. It's a journey just like anything else. So making sure that you know that's very important. And then I also said, give yourself grace. This is a phrase I've been throwing around recently, but honestly, it's helped me a lot because I feel like it allows me to stop and be like, I need to stop treating myself so negatively. Like I need to give myself grace and treat myself like a person. It's it's really hard to like give other people so much love and care and not give that to yourself because you also can't give the people around you the love and care you want to give if you're not treating yourself like a friend. So I always tell people treat yourself like a best friend because why would you not want to be your best friend? Like you're the person that you're going to have for the rest of your life. So it's always important to keep that in mind. And then I just want to remind everyone to tell people that you love them. I know life gets hectic and chaotic, but it's really important for everyone, including ourselves, to like be reminded that you have love around you and that you're loved and you have like a positive purpose in the world. And that just allows you to kind of fill yourself with positive and loving energy. And you also just, you never know when someone needs a positive reminder. You never know when someone's like at their breaking point. Like you could literally change someone's life. And I don't say that lightly. So just make sure that you remind everyone that you love them and you remind yourself that you have love for yourself. And yeah, you can follow us on Instagram if you want. But that was it for my ramble. If anyone has any questions, I can try and answer. I'm not a professional, but yeah.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? And again, thank you so much, Sammy. Maya said, Sammy, you are amazing in the chat. I know there was some, timing technical difficulties, but thank you so much. But yeah, like Sammy said, any questions, you can throw it in the chat or ask out loud. Anything? I think after, live, love, hope, have new. After listening to that presentation, I think it'd be cool if some of us, if you're willing, just unmute and share something you're grateful for. Does anyone want to do that?
Or you can put in the chat.
Yeah, or in the chat, anything. With Thanksgiving and this amazing presentation, I'm sure we can think of something. I'm also grateful for your dog, Sammy. Leo. I'm grateful to be privileged enough to be getting an education. I'm also grateful to be done with it soon. Basketball. It's a good one. Okay, we can move on to another question I had in mind. Does anyone have any recommendations for like study snacks? I know all of us have to be snacking when we're studying anything. Because at least for me, finals are like around the corner. Oh, Maya, what you munching on? I see some Doritos over there.
Guys, our train has been stuck. You guys hear me? Can you all hear us?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a car on the track. So Sammy's wonderful presentation has allowed me to hone in and focus and use my time wisely and focus on the mental health. So listening to the podcast. Now I'm here.
There's a car on the track. Like, it's just, oh, okay. Well, you got this presentation and Doritos. Vishnu said he eats chips. Okay. Anyone else? Oreos. Those are addicting. Yes. Okay. Vanilla yogurt. Oreos, cookies. I love sour candy when I'm studying, like so much. I love the sour gummy worms. They're good. And then the last thing I want to ask, like any podcast recommendations or like YouTubers. So I watched this one YouTuber named Brooke Bush. She has like family videos. They're just like home style, like camcorder. There's no storyline to her videos. It's just such a nice break. Like I do not have to use my brain when I'm watching her videos. So it's a good like 10 to 15 minute break, you know? Ooh, peanuts are good. Chipotle. I'm back in my Chipotle phase. I eat it like a good once or twice a week. It's good. Okay. Tamcor. Interesting. Sammy. Okay, she says that and she ate half my Chipotle. So,
Share
like
your
say,
order. Share your order.
oh, okay. See, I have some dietary restrictions as a vegetarian, but I usually get a bit of sofritas. When Sammy had my bowl, she didn't eat it with the sofritas, so she thought it was dry. But I don't get guac because it oxidizes, and I prefer it on this side. Okay, this is a tangent, but yeah, Emma Chamberlain and anyone else podcast lovers. Let's move from my Chipotle order.
It could
Anything?
be YouTubers too. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
podcasters. Even YouTubers work.
I guess TikTokers too. Come
I
on.
know y'all are on TikTok.
I
I
was just
know
about
you
to
guys
say,
are.
I know you guys are on social media. Someone other than me. Come
There's
on.
a podcast I used to watch all the time called Teenager Therapy. It was like these 4 high school students and they just like talked about everything. It was so helpful. It's ended now, but you can watch like all their past episodes. They're in college now, which is why they stopped it, but I like love it. I'll link it.
Okay. Okay, jumping back to Chipotle, we have white rice, black beans, sofritas, guac, double sour cream is crazy. Double cheese. That works for people who aren't lactose intolerant, but as long as it works for you. Okay. I think we're coming to a wrap with Chipotle recommendation. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just praying for your stomach then, Rohan. Okay. And also, quick reminder, if you weren't there at the beginning, please react to all the messages on Slack if you can make events, what dates you prefer, etc. Now that we've